This is Comic Fix Buddy Glick.
Yeah, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, what's going on? What do you have for us today?
Well, as I promised last time, I'm here to talk about Star Trek again. Not just, your regular brand of Star Trek. No, it's the wrap up of IDW's own next gen era of Trek storytelling. Now,
Nice.
yeah, it's glad to be talking about it because this is something I've been looking forward to for a while. Whether I actually delivered we'll get to that. But I just want to talk about how this followed up. This is going to follow up on from the Day of Blood podcast we did a while back, and I generally enjoyed that. It's like that whole storyline, stemming from the first two volumes of Idea's recent Star Trek series and the first volume of Defiant. It's like there he told a story of Benjamin Sisko coming back to deal with a god killing plan by the renegade Klingon Emperor Kahless, who was just feeling resentful of just the fact that he was not living up to his legendary status. It's in Klingon legends. So now he was just going to go ahead and lead a it's like a like a renegade path in order to basically just validate his legacy and everything. And while Sisko and Worf basically clashed heads about what was the best way to deal with this, they eventually came around and were able to defeat him in the end. And hey, the good guys won. It was a solid storyline, but it was also only the first one in this ongoing like on ongoing series between the Defiant and I think the regular Star Trek series. Now, regular readers will know, readers and listeners know that I really liked the follow up storyline in Defiant. Another piece of the action, which basically saw its regular writer Christopher Cantwell just deal with it, take up a number of familiar storylines from original Trek and next gen Trek to basically dismantle the idea of a Worf and crew of the Defiant that at the time including Rolaran, B'Elanna Torres, and Spock to basically who've been entrusted with dealing with sticky situations that Starfleet couldn't directly intervene in. Stuff hey, you got sent the independent Borg Hugh, trying to restore his people who have been assimiled by the Borg to their former human individual status. It's and they can't. It's and I thought that that storyline was just really good in how it just subverted your expectations as to what it was just hey, being a cool bounty hunter in Star Trek universe is allowed to go around all the messy bureaucratic stuff that Starfleet deals in, and it's and it turns and it eventually revealed that hey, it's all the regulations are actually there for a good reason. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of my best reads for the year 2024, and now that we're here looking at the end of the this current era of Trek storytelling at IDW, it was really kind of the high point, to be honest, because looking back at the alternating histories of Defiant and the regular Star Trek series, well, Defiant kind of wins hands down, honestly. Because yeah, Cantwell may be an overly quirky writer, guy who just loves by pointing out some the some of the more oddball points of of Trek lore, and just having guy characters comment on the absurdity of what's going on. But he still has a really good handle on the moral, on the moral compass of Trek. When basically when everyone in the in the third volume, hell is another word, when the crew of the Defiant is basically about ready to call it quits after the events of the second volume. Well, now they've got to got to come together in order to defeat the alien parasites that have infested Starbase 99, and not just alien parasites, but if you remember the episode of Next Gen where it showed that Starfleet was infected by like these parasitic aliens, that in the end of the episode, Picard and Riker had to blow this guy's head off and then liquidate his chest and then murder the alien parasite living within. It's like, yeah, it's these aliens. They're the ones that are coming back. The ones who were originally meant to foreshadow the Borg, who were eventually adopted into the Borg itself. Yeah, it's like that's what these aliens were meant to represent. So yeah, it's like that's kind of fan servicey follow up that Mike Cantwell has delivers in a lot of his storylines, but there's also still a lot of good individual storytelling being done here, particularly with just the like the crew of the Defiant. It's like as they go on, just being really prickly. It's like just people who you would not expect to to work well together. Like I was honestly not expecting Worf and Spock to be as good buds as they were, but in the end, it's like I really enjoyed seeing them work together, for the greater good, for it's for the ideals that Starfleet professes um to aspire to. It's like, and just enjoying it, just their the general camaraderie. It's like, yeah, it's like Spock is written out after the end of volume the end of volume 4 of Defiant, but overall it's like I like the stuff that's done in Defiant. It's like basically following up on storylines from Next Gen and also Deep Space Nine, because the fourth volume also picks up on attempt by the Romulans to try and cloak on their system to a disastrous effects. Like that's also really interesting as well. It's like, and also the final volume of the series, which is the rare 4-issue $25 hardcover collection that, yeah, it's like I paid through gritted teeth, because god damn it, it's like I don't want to pay $25 for a 4-issue collection. I should be paying $25 for a 12-issue collection. That's what I paid for Executioner Song back in the day. It's like when I got it in the 90s, but inflation and all. So that's a separate issue. But I guess that'll just tell you that's how much I liked Defiant, to the point where hey, I will go ahead and pay $25 for this 4-issue collection. And it was honestly really solid, because it also told a good story of Worf working with his son Alexander in order to regain his honor, through a Klingon ritual known as the Kuv rite, which I had to double check, but I apparently this may be specific to the to Defiant itself, but I think that that he does establish a good, meaningful standard for a Klingon regaining its honor, from the errand of punishment, basically subjecting yourself to the demands of the people you've wronged, from the errand of valor, basically undertaking a mission on people who can't defend themselves, and the errand of vengeance. They see avenging your take trying to enact justice on someone who has abandoned their honor. It's like, and I think that this the storyline did a good job of of conveying that. I mean, the big issue with this volume is that it doesn't give the people on the Defiant enough time to address their own issues, which is Miles O'Brien trying to convince B'Elanna Torres to hey, there's this a group of self-replicating minds that I created during the Dominion War that are still killing people, and this storyline, this volume also tries to address that, but also leads them into a conflict between Cardassian special forces and Section 31, but it doesn't. But it kind of like does that in a very abbreviated fashion. This really needed another issue in order to make it work. But overall, it's like I really enjoyed like Defiant a lot more than Star Trek proper. Like in the course of this run post Day of Blood. And well, that being said, rereading everything, I mean that didn't change things. But I did appreciate the initial Star Trek storyline post Day of Blood, which was Glass and Bone, which basically involved Cisco and the crew of the Theseus like taking doing a mission for for Starfleet. Basically, after they've been left to their own devices and trying to solve trying to avert everything on their own terms. Well, now they basically have themselves find themselves obligated to try and just hey, well, we've got to there's this planet full of such a dinosaur people who are just threatening to make more on the entire Alpha Quadrant. So you got to try and deal with that. Oh, and it turns out that Harry Kim and another version of the Doctor are also running intelligence on this planet. And well, my issues with this storyline was the fact that hey, we already had a story where the crew of Theseus just saved an entire planet from destroying upon itself in Day of Blood, and it's and with Glass and Bone, it just seems trying to do that actual storyline again, and yeah, that's not untrue, but at the same time though, it's it's there's still a lot of like good Trek stuff in terms of the people trying to like maybe initially realizing trying to engage things in that are not the right way to do this, but then realizing that hey, there's a better way, if we only think about it, if we only expend intelligence and humanity in order to make it work. So yeah, it's I did like Glass and Bone a bit more like coming into in rereading things, and then you got the subsequent storylines, Pleroma and When the Walls Fell. Well, Pleroma is kind of their attempt to sorry, the writers of Star Trek, Jackson, Jack, sorry, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, to try and do sorry, Pleroma is their attempt to try and do Star Trek Five done right. But because basically it's all about them trying to deal with their Vulcan member Talir, who's actually an Organian, a godlike member of a race that the original Trek crew met back in the day, and that he was trying to save his people, who were wiped out in a conflict with the Klingons. Now he wants to bring them to this it's this conference of godlike beings that is trying to undo the damage that was done by Kahless's super weapon in the Day of Blood crossover. But well, it's just a lot of godlike beings just saying that hey, it's tough luck, man. But well, it's this is also a setup to the big overarching storyline that's going to define the end of this era. And well, that's all about lore. Because, well, it's in Day of Blood, Lore was still working with the crew of the Defiant, because he basically realized that, hey, everything I did basically not only led me to become good drinking buddies with the Borg, but also being a head on a stick of computational stuff, in a Section 31 outpost that was eventually stormed by Worf and Spock back in the first volume of Defiant. Lore basically realized that he had made the wrong choices and wanted to atone for it. Honestly, surprisingly sincerely, which hey, I've read enough stories where the bad guy professes hey, he wants to do right only to stab the good people in the back. But Lore, honestly, seemed like he was wanting to make a good fresh start of things. But then Data basically said that I don't believe you, and the only thing that is keeping me from destroying you outright, is the fact that I've not activated my intelligence chip while we're having this conversation. Whether or not you think that's a proper like a characterization of Data, it's I think it's an interesting one at least, and and it also involves a good storyline here. Basically, Lore basically then finds himself at the end of Day of Blood, in the means to acquire Kaelus's god killing weapon, and also a way to hold all the godlike beings of the Trek universe like at his mercy, for lack of a better term. And I think there's a good story to be told for Lore, just basically realizing that rather than try and make things up with Data, but after he's heard what Data has said, he suddenly realizes that okay, the better thing to do here is just remake the entire universe on my own terms, because that would be easier than trying to get my brother to forgive me for what I've done. That's that's a good story right there. Too bad that Kelly and Lansing don't actually seem to be want to tell that one. Like the rest of Florum is mostly concerned with Lore, just being a big bad guy, ripping Data's head off, and it's holding him at his mercy. It's as he holds his big god killer weapon to the Council of Gods, which I think is honestly kind of dumb, because okay, any one of these gods should have, if they were considered as godlike beings in the Trek universe, should have been able to just not just disarm Lore at any time they wanted. I mean, okay, say you wanted to tell the story where they just going to this okay, yeah, Lore, we'll let you do this because we think it'll be really hilarious to see what the universe looks like when you've gone and remade this whole thing. But they didn't. It's all presented as a Lore pulled one over on these quasi omnipotent beings, and that just never sat right with me. It's nor the fact that Anthony Sato just basically let her like her feelings about her friendship with Talir being oh, you're actually a godlike being. It's no, it's terrible. You're a bad friend, and now I'm gonna activate this device that Section 31 gave me, which well, it's that it turns out that Lore was actually running Section 31 to do this thing, which that's kind of an interesting bit in terms of hey, if Section 31 are meant to be the bad guys and not just be the cool, it's anti-establishment Star Trek people, then yeah, that's kind of I guess this is this kind of works, but it's if you're of the opinion that Section 31 are actually the bad people in Star Trek, then yeah, this is a really dumb and really obviously terrible thing that she's doing. And then it also leads into the next volume, When the Walls Fell, which yeah, it's a reference to that great episode where Picard is finds himself stranded on this planet with with an alien who can only communicate through metaphor. But no, it's not nearly as good as that, because while there's some fan service and bringing us into the CG created species that Voyager encountered in its run, and also oh hey, we're gonna encounter the Kelvin universe crew as well. But the crew, the thrill of the Kelvin universe crew is just the fact that the charm of the actors bring to their interpretations of these characters. Seeing them brought reincarnated here doesn't have the same charm. And then you've got but then you got issues where like where the crew of the Theseus has to deal with like hey, here's our final night together, and that's good. And also the issue with Kalis trying to decide how he's going to regain his honor, and how it may actually like come into this this next universe. Well, that's cool. That's actually those are actually kind of good. As for the two issues where like Cisco finds himself stuck on Bajor, and I'm having to manipulate its people into building him like a spaceship in order to go back like into the universe. Well, I guess that that'll probably be like more like of interest to people who've like seen more of D69 than I have. Sorry, but overall, it's like the Star Trek side of things, like the Star Trek series, has was just like more it's like more fan servicey in a less like entertaining way. It's like, and I can see the story they were trying to tell, but they didn't actually like pull it off in a way that I was really entertained by, or I felt was very satisfying. But how does it actually play out into the final volume of this series, Lore War, which basically shows us the universe that Lore has created, where he is basically revered as a god throughout all four quadrants of space. Well, not great, like honestly. Mainly because like everyone like in the universe basically like is has basically been like living their own lives like as they believe that lore is great and lore provides and all. The only person who doesn't is Kalis because of his encounter with Cisco like in the penultimate volume of Star Trek. I mean, like, so that basically allows Kalis to restore Cisco's memories, like in the storyline, and basically realize that hey, now he knows what he needs to do. And yeah, even though his original wife and son like are like living with him here, it's like he realizes that I've got to leave them behind in order to like like reawaken everyone to the universe that they once knew. And well, the big problem with this is that it's not just like everyone is that like everyone gets like reawakened because of the magical Baelith that Kalis has. Like only a few people like get hit with this. So that basically means that you're dealing with a lot of characters who just don't have any knowledge of like what it's like what has come before, that are trying to that are in the story like like going forward. So yeah, all the people you've known and you've read and experienced with in the pages of like Star Trek and Defiant, well, they're not really here in this final volume, and that's honestly kind of frustrating and a bit disappointing. I do like the fact that Worf never actually gets hit with this magical Baelith, and basically comes around on his own to realizing like this universe is wrong. But there's not enough of that done here, possibly because there's only like four issues of Defiant and Star Trek that are given over to this, plus like a decent chunk of the Star Trek Omega big finale issue. So yeah, it's like I think that this big crossover event, um it's like it has some good ideas, but it disappointingly defaults to the fact that lore is evil, and has basically been like rebooting the universe as many times as he wants in order to make it conform to his wishes. And while I think there are some fun bits about that, like talking about the one time when he decided to create a universe without the Vulcans that resulted in a hyper intelligent Ferengi, like in a greasy gloss like across the whole galaxy. Yeah, and that's cute and all. And those are from the Defiant issues, I believe. So yeah, like oh, and it's also worth noting that one of the issues like of Defiant includes a nod to good old Reginald Barclay. Um, it's it's like this big old finale. It's like doesn't is basically just like a big old whack of the reset button that doesn't like really satisfy like in general terms. Well, except in one regard, because just like the previous crossover, well, we also get a special Shaxx issue as well. Yes, that's right. The Bajoran security commander of the Cerritos also like has a different role to play here. Basically, in the main issues, basically as a blind as a converted pod wraith who is just enforcing Lore's Lore's will like without question. But then when he in his own spotlight issue, like he gets hit by that Baelith, and then realizes that oh no, he's actually been working for the fascists this whole time, and now he's got to go and save the entire save the entire quadrants from Lore's evil Starfleet. And so yeah, as and yes, original writer of Shax's Best Day from the original crossover returns to write this storyline, which is basically called Shax's Worst Day. But in the end, it actually turns out to be pretty great for him as well, because not only does he get to do Shax's Die Hard on the Enterprise and then the Cerritos, um, but he basically uses all of his weird knowledge of esoteric Star Trek stuff to create a genius plan to destroy Starfleet on his own terms using weird ass shit that we saw in Voyager. It's like it's pretty great. It's a lot of fun. It's bizarre. It's funny, and all of the like inter like subpage continuity that North offers is great. Shax's Worst Day may have been terrible for its title character, but it's a great read for anyone, enjoying this as it is. And it's in the final like conclusion of the of the series, well, it works out well enough. I mean, yeah, it's like the I don't like the idea that people remember what happened in this in the context of Lore's universe, but I think that everyone, all the major characters from this series, from Tom Paris to B'Elanna Torres to Worf to um Orion Farmer, PHARMR, basically drug dealer on Nimira Vondeck, from the original creation from Cantwell in Defiant, do get a a nice happy conclusive ending. It's I mean it's fine. It's it basically offers enough conclusion and basically sends Cisco off back to the arms of the prophets and all, basically realizing that hey, maybe I needed to teach them more about being human more than anything else. Oh, and Lore gets sent off to the Daystrom Institute, which well, it's if you're enough of a Star Trek nerd to recognize that deep cut, then you'll understand that's a fair enough reference as well, because this is not a very continuity friendly Star Trek series, which, hey, to be honest, if you're listening to this, hey, if you weren't already reading Star Trek to this point, then yeah, this is not going to change your mind. This is very deep cut Star Trek stuff, but all the deep cuts generally hit as far as I'm concerned. It's I said, my issue isn't the fact that hey, it's these people haven't done their work. It's just that the story they're telling just doesn't connect with me in the way that I wanted to. I mean, I'm not going to say that you shouldn't buy it, because if you've been reading Defiant and Star Trek up to this point, then yeah, it's you owe to yourself to see how it's going to end, in the pages of Lore War. but I I don't know, it's like I was left expecting better. I wanted to see a story where Lore, like really admitted that he was doing this because he realized this would be a better um remaking the universe would be a better path forward for him than actually trying to make up things with Data. But that didn't happen, and in the end, he's just treated as like a villain who needs to be defeated, and like shown the path by the proper path by the orbs of the prophets, like, in the end. So yeah, it's like, I guess it's like if you didn't want to engage with this, like, that kind of conclusion, then I guess just read um Star Trek Glass and Bone and Defiant volumes 3, it's like, see, 2, 3, and 4, and yeah, it's like and that will likely absolve yourself of the need to follow up on what happens in lore war. But overall, it's like I was, like I said, I was disappointed by this. It wasn't a conclusion that I wanted to see, and it also left me thinking that maybe I could have delivered something better in the end. But this isn't the end of Star Trek at IDW. It's like they're still like putting out more comics, like including like not just the ongoing like Lower Decks series, which basically like hey, if we're not getting like more episodes of the animated series on Paramount Plus, then this is the next best thing. But also we're getting a like a storyline called The Last Starship from Kelly and Lansing that basically like shows you what a reborn Captain Kirk was doing at the time of the burn, like in the Star Trek universe. But if I'm gonna be honest, like the story I'm most looking forward to reading is Star Trek Red Shirts. That's coming from Christopher Cantwell and a Star Trek artist Megan Levins, which basically tries to like put its own spin on those poor doomed like away team members that always get murdered, like like in Star Trek away missions. It's like, I mean, yeah, I know that's what we're meant to expect there, but whether or not that's actually what happens, well, Cantwell has earned my my goodwill with his work on Defiant to be basically just to show me like what he's got cooked up for this really oddball premise. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that more than anything else I am with IDW's future Star Trek plans, of which there are many, but there you go.
Many. Well, interesting. Yeah. That deep cut you mentioned. Yeah, I got it. But hey, if people are listening right now to this and they picked up on this like they'd never heard it and they just picked up on it because they saw it was Star Trek, they probably get it too. Not all of them. Though. Anyway,
I would hope so.
so
Yeah.
so do you know what you're talking to talk about next time? What are you going to talk about
Next
next time?
next time it's like going to be like the final volume of Battle Angel Alita Mars Chronicle, which is a very I mean, it's going to be a very weird and strange follow up to a very weird and strange follow up from a series that I really liked, but we'll see how that goes.
All right, and we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Click.
Laters, everyone.